Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone. This is me, Jonathan Alexander. I'm here to host my show, Life After Happiness. Today, we have my co-host, Kelly. Are you there, Kelly?
Hi. Yes.
Hi. And what we have is today is something interesting. Lisa Yeager, she is talking about a subject that we haven't really dealt with before, that is parallel universes and the fifth, and she's a guide to the fifth dimension. And if I'm not correct, you have a website, don't you, Lisa?
Yes, it's called Road Trips for the Soul. And I haven't worked on it in a while. I just kind of, sometimes I have ideas and they come easy and they go in the website, and then maybe for a week or two I don't have any thoughts about it, so I put it aside. So it's a slow process. I'm putting it together.
Why don't you let us know about sort of what got you on this journey? Because obviously, people don't do these sort of things overnight. What sort of got you into the journey itself?
Okay, well I'll just give you some background, and then I'll get there and explain that a little bit deeper. Awesome. Okay, so as far as my religious background or whatever, I didn't have one. I explored a lot, and then after I moved out of my family's house, I hung out for a year and a half, and then I ended up in a cult. It wasn't a crazy cult. It was just a very strict cult. They didn't call themselves a cult. They called themselves the Dallas-Fort Worth Church of Christ Jesus, which was, it ended up being kind of a deal about cults back in the 90s. Yeah. Anyways, I escaped this cult a year and a half later, and I joined the Army. So through my time in the Army, I still explored a lot of things, and I wasn't ever brainwashed. I wasn't to think the way they wanted me to think. I was very outside the box, and I had a lot of fun. Actually, I lived all over I lived in Germany for about 8 years, in Bosnia and Afghanistan a couple times, and Kuwait and South Korea and Arizona, Colorado. But throughout all this, and I can look back on all those times and see a bunch of, now that I know about dimensions, I can see a lot of connections. Look back on my life. It's very interesting. But so I retired in 2015, and from the Army, and then I opened a store up. It was called Yeager's Market and Cafe. It was a coffee shop and a gift shop. It was in the mountains. It was a great location, but I can look that whole. I started dating this guy named Scott, and we dated for about 5 months. Everything was fun. I mean, he had red flags all over him, but we had a good time, and that's how I've always lived my life. As long as we're having a good time, we're good to go. But he was an alcoholic, which I wasn't really experienced. I drank a lot too, but I wasn't very experienced with alcoholics or that get. And I don't really know the whole situation, but he got drunk, and he tried to kill me with a hammer. And what happened whenever this hammer was coming down, he was straddling me, and time stood still, and I had time to think if I wanted to live or die. And long story short, it was probably about a 10-second conversation I had with myself. There was a question I was answering, and I chose to live because I didn't want this guy killing me, although I didn't care if I died. So, and looking back, and this is a moment that's very cool to me because I learned a lot from this moment. I did go off and die. What happens after I die, I wasn't right with God, but I had this week from hell, and the third and fourth order effects from that week have rippled through my life. I mean, I've seen connections from the past, and I see connections still. But an angel took me to a river. This is after a DUI I got out of jail, and I went home. I took some shrooms. I went for a run, and I didn't ever want to come back. But I went, and this angel came, and she took me to a river, and I met God. And it was pretty awesome. But I still wasn't changing my ways. I was smoking a lot of pot. I was in Colorado. Nobody was telling, I was still running my store, but it got crazy, and all these people came out of the woodworks, these crazy, just a lot of weird experiences. A lot of strange people, and they'd hang out all the time, and they would, it just seemed like hell to me. It actually got so bad, just 4 months into having the store, I closed it down and sold it. I wasn't dealing with it anymore. I was so miserable. And the guy who tried to kill me, Scott, he was around the area still. I was so angry. I was so angry about everything. So anyways, I finally left. No, I didn't leave. I left the store, and then I met this guy, Clint. He's really great guy. And we dated for a year. During that time, I was growing weed. One of my customers asked if I would grow weed with him, because he was, and we did some construction work, built the store. It was black market, so selling it was not as easy as it sounds when you're selling pounds. But I did that for a while, but it was always like having to look behind my back, and watching out for cops. And I actually did get busted, and I was already on probation for the DUI, and I got busted for having too much, like I had a pound of marijuana in my car. And it was a very odd night. Apparently I got pulled over because they thought I had a dead body in my car. And so weird things like that happen, and I think those are just, something's going on there, and when I was in Colorado, and it's happened a lot, I went to jail for this too. If you went out to jail, I could be in there. Just the whole time I was there, it was very odd. Everything was almost like a dream, like a very weird dream. And so I ended up moving to Crested Butte, and I went for a road trip, and I went to Dallas. But then I had this thing in me, I had this urge in me, and this was actually 2 years ago, to the day that I had this urge in me to go to Washington, D.C. to see the inauguration, although I knew I wasn't going to get in, and I didn't. But I did see D.C. I saw the Women's March. And then it really angered me being there, what I saw, and knowing what I know, what I think I know. I think I know a lot of stuff because I've researched a lot of stuff, but that's a whole other subject. So I ended up going, and then I met a couple guys who were heading to Chicago, so we were at a caravan there, but they got a little fender bender in their rental car, so we all went to Chicago together. I stayed there for 2 weeks with my aunt. Then I went to go pick the luggage up from those guys I met. They had already gone back to Denver. And I lived in Colorado, so dropped their luggage off. And I went through the city where I used to live with all this crazy stuff that was happening. And a bunch of weird stuff happened. Like I woke up, I pulled over my truck, went to sleep there after driving, back from the airport. Oh, I hadn't gone to L.A. on a whim. I met this guy named Kevin, and it felt like we were in love, and it was so weird because I've never been in love, but everything was so synced, but like all of a sudden, he said, I heard God's voice in my head. I heard it. It was a male voice, and he said, nothing is what it seems in this world. Absolutely nothing. And that's not exactly word for word, but he did say that. And I was like, even this thing that's happening with Kevin, he said, no, nothing's real. So that was the first time I heard God's voice. And I went back to Colorado, and that time I went through Colorado, I woke up in the morning after sleeping in my vehicle. Hopefully I'm not all over the place. Are y'all? Am I making any sense?
No, we're here.
Okay. I'm just going on. Okay, so I woke up in the morning at a friend's gas station. So they live above their gas station. This is out in Florissant in Lake George, Colorado. And I pulled up in the driveway and just slept in the back of my truck. And I woke up in the morning, and it was this guy I knew pumping gas there. And this is in the middle of nowhere. There's not a lot of people there. But I woke up, and he was pumping gas. And this guy, previously, back in November of 2014, he was a tenant of mine. And we have a history, not romantically, but we have a history of work, because I had a hotel out in Colorado Springs. And he was my neighbor, and I hired him to do some work there. So I once again hired him to work there, but he was already living there and working on the place. But he was a terrible worker, He just talked a lot. He never did anything. And so one night I made a snide comment, but this was about 4 months after a project I gave him to do. He was very upset about this one guy coming in and helping me with some construction work. This retired guy I lived with, and I lived in the same neighborhood as he did, but he came and helped me sometimes. Well, Aaron came down screaming at me because I had made that snide comment, and he started yelling at me, and I was like, "Stop yelling!" And he kept yelling, and then my friend Greg said, "Aaron, stop yelling at her." And his lips were quivering, he was pissed, and then he had a heart attack and died. I did CPR, and even the guy Aaron couldn't even call 911, so I had to call 911 and then scream at him to call the cops, get the dogs out. I mean, this guy was turned into an absolute dumbass. He already was, but that wasn't nice. So I take that back. He couldn't help it. So, anyways, well, my friend dies in this place. This was November.
Oh wow.
This happened before I was murdered. So I don't really know, but that's right below where I was murdered. That was the same building I lived in. I was right above in my room. That's where I was hit with a hammer. Okay, that's where I was attacked. I had a black and blue face too, so afterwards, after I got the hammer out of his hand, I kicked it out of his hand. And then there was a little bit more drama after that. And a little bit more supernatural stuff that happened after that. But I'm sorry, I'll bring it back to where I was. I'm kind of all over the place sometimes. So I went back to Crested Butte. I saw the guy, and then the guy who tried to kill me, I guess he heard I was in town, and then he texted me. So all these little things were happening. And I had ran into Clint, and I thought Clint and I were cool, but apparently we weren't, because I went to one of his concerts, and he was just screaming at me for being there, so I took off. So all these weird things were happening. I learned in that moment when I was leaving, I saw the sunset, and I learned at that when I was told I had to forgive everything. Because when I was growing weed, the guy still owes me like nearly $10,000 for work that I never got paid for, and some construction work I never got paid for. And so I was angry about that. I was angry about a lot of stuff. So I had to forgive everything in that night. And when I forgive that night, everything changed, and everything got better. It was hard to do. And then I also changed my ways. I was no longer, drinking and partying. Still wasn't really my thing so much. I was smoking a lot of weed, though. But it wasn't my thing to party, like I used to when I was in the Army. I don't. So then I ended up going to Texas. I went on another road trip, and so that was my thing. I love road trips. That's why I call it road trips for the soul. Because I look back, all my road trips, I end up in the fourth dimension, and I have stories for days about those experiences. But one thing I learned is that I always meet people who have died. I believe they've been in really bad accidents. I meet them when I'm on road trips. I meet them when I'm camping or maybe hitchhiking, or I pick up a hitchhiker, or somebody I meet along the way. But I have a feeling that they've died, and they just don't know it because you don't know it. And people are like, oh, like the movie The Sixth Sense. Exactly. You don't know you're dead. I believe this happens with everybody. And if you and you can stay in this world, and then eventually, and I'll get to where I'm going with this is heaven is kind of the fifth dimension. It happens in our mind, and I learned all this in the middle of 2017. And I started reading the Bible. I started drinking vinegar, apple cider vinegar mixed with lemon juice, and I just started drinking healthy, eating healthy, reading books, just doing things that were more positive. And then I started having these thoughts in my head, and I learned, and they came fast. These thoughts came fast, and I had boxes full of papers that were full of notes with frequency charts and timetable charts, and there was so much information. As a matter of fact, it was so overwhelming when I looked at it. It kind of gave me a little bit of anxiety, which I don't get anxiety, but I was like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of crazy shit, I threw it all away because I figured the universe would do whatever it had to do with that information because I didn't know what to do with it. And it was weird. but this all leads up. This all happened after September of 2017. It started leading up. I started getting these thoughts in my head, and they were like alchemy, how Masons, the ways of the Masons, how they would communicate, how they built things. There's clues in everything, and now I take all that information. It was amazing information, and I learned about energy, but way beyond just the word energy, and easy ways to break it down to a very easy level, which right now I'm working on putting that PowerPoint kind of stuff together to show it, because it's so easy to show it. It's hard to explain it. So I'm putting PowerPoint classes or slides together just so I can put all these different things I learned and how to break them down easily. These concepts. So during these, I ended up going on the September 23rd. I ended up going through a portal in my room, and I was about 5 days into not sleeping or eating. I had so much energy. I slept about 4 hours every other day, and I had wrote things on my legs, some formulas, and there was papers everywhere. And I had some friends that saw, and they're like, it was pretty crazy. There was a portal in my room, and I walked through it, and so I got dressed, and I went out for a walk. And a police officer pulled me over, and anyways, I ended up, it was like Back to the Future. I was trying to get them to put me in the backseat of a car, I said, can you arrest me? And they said, no, you have to do something. So, okay, and I walked away. And so, long story short, I didn't get arrested. I got back in the car, but when I did, it was like I dwindled down to the age of a 7-year-old, and things were spinning around, and it was crazy, and almost like in a Dorothy, whenever she wakes up, and she's like, and you were in that dream, and you, it's like that. All the cops, there were people that I knew in my life. There were the people I knew in other parts of my life. And I knew, but when I was up on that level, I was really high up in the fifth dimension. And this was my first experience with it. And I looked in the video camera on the cop car, and it was a little girl. She was about 7 years old, a little blonde girl. And it was a video camera of me. And then when I went to they took me to a mental hospital, and there was 3 girls there, 3 nurses, and they were going to prick me with some booty juice, what they call it. I've learned some terminology from the mental hospital. Even when I was there, people I knew. It was people I knew. But when I woke up the next morning after getting the booty juice, and those 3 girls were my 3 angels, I knew them in other parts of my life. One of them is my aunt. One of them is my friend's daughter. They weren't really in this lifetime, but they were, and I knew it. And I'd often run into people and how do you, oh, you look familiar to me. And it was a very weird meeting, some off-chance meeting. We really look familiar, but I've learned since that that's just when you know them from the future, from the fifth dimension. You're just playing, we're all just down here playing roles. And we have many roles, so it was like, oh, that's you, okay, but when you're up in the fifth dimension, you can see it from a higher perspective. You can see who each other is and how they end up in your life somehow. It's really cool. So, September 23rd, I keep referring to that date because in the Bible, you can do some research, and it's easy to find YouTube. And a Revelation, I think it was, I want to say 12, but it could be 13. It's when the virgin gives birth to a child, and the dragon's sitting there waiting. So what happened in the sky is that all the planets are lined up in this specific way, and Jupiter had been in Virgo's belly for 9 months and was exiting her womb area on the 23rd of September. It's a really neat date, and this is what it felt like. I just transformed, and I afterwards. So all this crazy stuff happened. I got out of the hospital, but even in the hospital, I ran into this girl. She was nuts. But her name was Billy, and Billy's the name I named myself in the 5th grade. So I changed my name to Billy in the 5th grade, just for a year because I was a tomboy and I liked the name. But this girl's name was Billy, but she was talking about some stuff from when we were kids. And she was talking about, she knew some friends of mine, and she said their names. I'm like, who are you talking about? And she's like, yeah, I'm talking about so-and-so and so-and-so. This was wild stuff. And then I got back. I was getting information about how to find lost people. And it was just so, all that stuff is in the box I told you about. I threw it away, but I still have a lot of the information still. And then I kind of, everything went away. All this information, like all this crazy information I was receiving went away. And I was really bummed out. And I think this, and after researching what the heck happened to me, what was that all about, I found a couple people on YouTube that had videos, and it was very, very similar. And it was a spiritual awakening, or a Kundalini awakening.
Oh.
And it was the dark night of the soul is what I went through afterwards. Very depressed. And I don't really get depressed. It hasn't been my MO, but, you know, I got really bummed out then. And then this thing happened again. It's been up and down, but it's getting smoother every time. I don't get sad or bummed out. I just lose a lot of energy. Like last time I was up, the time before that was mid-May last year, and I was up again, and I had a lot of energy hitting me. And I ended up, it's a crazy story, but anyway, I ended up in another mental hospital. And they just said I had to get out of where I was living. There was so much energy, and they said, "Where do you want us to take you?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't care." They're like, "How about this place?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine." So I ended up there for 2 weeks, and I refused to take their medication, but I finally did after 2 weeks because they were like, "You take the medication, you'll get out of here." I'm like, "Well, I completely forgot those 2 weeks. I cannot tell you a thing about those 2 weeks because that medication they gave me that I finally took just to get out of there." That weekend was Father's Day weekend, and that was a crazy weekend as far as the information and the things that I did when I was receiving the information. It must have looked insane. But I ended up going back. They said I had to come back for an outpatient. And when I was in that meeting for the outpatient, everybody in my classroom, there was about maybe a dozen people. There were people. They were the closest people in my life in a different body, and then most of them even had the same name or the same type of relationship. So they were my aunts. They were my uncles, and then they were, the lady next to me. Even her name was LaDonna, which is aunt, and it was wild. I knew them all, and I was super stoked because I knew we were all together. Because you go to these classes together after you die, you end up going to counseling together, you know. And I figured we were all here together, you know, we're moving up, we're in heaven, you know, just after this class, we're there. And I was super excited, but they weren't on the same level as I was, so I got stuck back in the mental hospital for 2 more weeks. And there was pretty cool because I was able to do things like I could hear people whispering about me. It was about not everybody. I'm just talking about these two specific, this nurse and this doctor. They were whispering and looking at me, and I could hear what they were saying from across the hall, or far away. And their blood pressure machines, because I was like, and I wouldn't take their medication, and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm super happy. I was living in the fifth dimension, and I had all these. I could make they do a lot of blood pressure tests on you throughout the day. I don't know why they do it so much, but they do. But I was able to make it not work for me. If I decided I didn't want to work, and I put my mind to it, and it didn't work for me. And I proved it. I was like, no, I'll do it again. Okay, I'll be good this time, and I'll do it. And it worked. So it worked at will. It was really neat. And I ended up getting one day I was just pissed off at everybody because they were just being dumb fucking jerks. Pardon my language. But I got moved. I met this one kid standing in line for the doctor, and his name was Curtis. And I knew him. I said, "You're from the future. I know you from the future." And he said, "Yeah, everything." After that, it dawned on him, and a lot of stuff made sense for him. So I put his name on my arm. I wrote it. I'm like, I want to. And so I ended up getting kicked out of that unit that I was in, and I got put into another unit, and Curtis was right there. It's like I could manifest things so easily in the fifth dimension. So neat. So ever since then, I went on another road trip, and I have some interesting stories about people I meet along the way.
Wow.
So that's my life right now. I don't have a job. I have retirement pay. I'm okay with where I'm at. I don't plan on
Have you ever been able to tell anybody that story on a podcast before?
No, it feels so good to get. No, I haven't talked to people about this. When I was really manic, I started talking a lot about stuff, and it really annoyed people. I was talking like.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that you're just kind of letting it out. I mean, you're letting out. I mean, this is going to be recorded, and so now people can hear the story. They can go in here and hear the story. I mean, I think that I was trying to read up on a lot of the stuff you were talking about the dimensions, and the hard part about all of it is, I think we mentioned this before, is there's usually a middle ground where you can sort of understand what the other person is saying. I'm not putting down what you're saying. I'm just saying, you understand what I'm saying? And it's hard, but there's a middle ground. And also, we have a caller. You want to take a caller?
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Okay. Caller, you're on the air.
Hello, it's Christopher. I've been listening to the show. It's been pretty interesting. It reminds me of some of the experiences I've had.
Really?
Yes.
Like what? Hi, Christopher.
Hello.
Thanks for calling.
Like I've experienced, you've heard of pre-birth experiences where you remember. You heard pre-birth experiences where you remember things from before you were born or around there?
No. I've heard of people telling me about it, but I didn't know there was a word for it. So it's called pre-birth experiences?
Yeah, it reminds me of that, what you're speaking of. It's almost like...
it feels like somebody else entered into my body. Like, it doesn't feel like that, but it feels like I'm a completely different person than what I was before that incident where I was murdered. And then also whenever the Back to the Future incident, when I went down in age, it seems like I was a totally different person, like I was just reborn. Like that was the rebirth they talk about, because I did meet Jesus. I did give my life to Jesus. And now I understand it on a lot deeper level.
That's what happens. You become a completely different person.
I want to make a comment on that. There's a lady that we're thinking of having on the show, and I think I don't know, she is what is called the walk-in. And the thing that's really weird about her is that when she was born, she had a Texas accent, But then she had a near-death experience, and now she sounds like Margaret Thatcher. She has a British accent.
What? Oh, okay.
Wow.
That's a good example.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What happens is when you're born is exactly the opposite process of what you have NDE. It's the opposite.
The opposite of NDE?
Yeah, you're opposite of when you die, the steps. You leave the light, or to me, it's a singularity. From what I've seen, I went in a dream, and I went to it, and there's all your memories, and you head towards this big flash of circle,
and I don't
flash of light.
The light. I don't see that light that I hear about. What I learned for me is that light was knowledge. Like you just said, though, in the same. I don't see the light. I see lights. I see orbs around. But I don't see the light. And I've heard people talk. Did you go into the light? Like I did go into the light of knowledge.
That's what it is, because all the memories, every construct, you see it all coming out of this one dot.
And it's the collective memories of the
yes
of the whole, right?
Oh.
And what was happening, and so have you, Christopher or Jonathan or Kelly, heard of the event or the new Earth versus the old Earth. The concept that the world is splitting, and one's going. Some people are going to the fifth dimension, and some people are going to just stay on the third dimension. And their future is really going to depend on which dimension they are, or which vibration they are, because the Earth is splitting.
Oh, okay.
Have you heard of that?
Something.
It's called The Event.
I think
Wow.
I ran across that before. Yeah.
And we're going through that right now, and that's why we're getting these energies.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
There's a couple things I want to bring up about the future, or about what's coming up soon, and I'm curious if y'all have any input on it, but I'll wait. Christopher?
No, go ahead.
I've seen okay.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Christopher.
Sorry.
I've seen 4 or 5 different scenarios that we can hit at a global scale and even at a national scale.
Are you into the what's going on the political world right now?
Yes, I see
Me
several
too.
scenarios.
Oh, have you? How many have you seen?
6.
Because those are the different universes. They're different possibilities, and they all exist on different universes or different dimensions.
Yes, and one of them I've seen a return of Stalinistic viewpoints, like mass executions and stuff like that in Russia.
Oh boy.
Not here, but in Russia.
No,
The world it is. You've heard that it's a very interesting place, time to live.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Are you excited? I think the most important thing with all of the political, no matter what side you're on or how deeply you know what's going on. The one thing that I have to remember, because there was a time I went really far into it, and then it kind of became crazy conspiracy theorist, and I am still, but it all, I'm sorry. That we all have to remember that there's a plan, and it's God's plan, and not to worry about any of it at the end of the day.
Yeah, what you need, you need to pray for your family and yourself and hope for the best. And have this as knowledge of what you receive.
I get these ideas sometimes. I had this idea of January 19th came up. Okay, it came up in a Q post. I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with what a Q is. But it came up in a Q post. I didn't really see much about it.
That's tomorrow.
But I did. That is tomorrow. I'm very excited about tomorrow. I had a night, I wanted to know when Janis Joplin's birthday was. Not her birthday, but her birth year. And she was born in 1973, but her birthday was January 19th. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So it was Edgar Allan Poe's birthday. And so I was watching some YouTube videos because I am very interested in time travel, and I have done it, but I can't always do it. So when I can't do it, I just research it, and I'm researching remote viewing as well. But the movie The Time Machine, there was a clip of it, and I started to look at it. And I remember watching the movie and not liking it, and that was years and years ago. But in the movie, he changes his little time thing to January 19th, 1899. And then I did a search for what's happening in the history. And one interesting thing was that 4,000 politicians were arrested. Corrupt politicians were arrested. And this was back in the 40s, I want to say, but I don't remember the date or the year. I haven't been able to find it.
That's similar to the timeline now.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen real soon, like this weekend, I think. And the number 88's come up, too. Okay, so the way the number 88's come up is there's a store I drive by and it's called 88 Steps. It's probably a shoe store, I don't know. And then this girl Jamie, who was just kidnapped, she was taken hostage for 88 days. And then also I was watching a little clip from Back to the Future, and the speedometer on his speed when they were taking off. I guess they were testing the speed. I can't remember if he was dialing a higher speed, but it came to the number 88, and then they flipped to another screen. So I've been seeing that number a lot too.
Oh yeah.
You know, I want to make a comment. I want to make a comment about synchronicities. This is hysterical. Kelly made the request that we not do any shows on the 20th of January today, and because she says that was her father's birthday. And remember that, Kelly?
Yeah, and we're having that little clip.
And the clip.
And then I tell Kelly, I said, well, Kelly, that's interesting because, you know, the 20th of January may be your father's birthday, but it's also my father's birthday and my parents' 50th wedding anniversary.
It's the day before my birthday.
Oh, wow.
Are you serious?
I'm born on the 21st.
Like, it's not about the date. The dates, like, on either side of a day, they all are part of a one spirit.
Wow.
Like the 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st.
I was born as a cusp. The 21st is boundary date.
Oh,
and
yeah.
In the old calendars, it's still Capricorn.
Oh, wow.
The Julian calendar, the old one, and also the new system that's being revised. We're in Capricorn still. Aquarius is like a week later.
Are you talking about the revised zodiac with the 13th?
Yeah, the revised and also the old Julian calendar has Aquarius on a later date.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
I find that one time I'm in the high frequencies, I can be around the television and movies or whatever I happen to land on. But movies and TV, they'll speak to me.
Yeah.
They'll like give me clues, but and they'll tell me that same type of stuff, like what you just said.
Wow. So me and Kelly's relative are Capricorns in the old system.
Oh.
I like Capricorns.
And before that, it used to be 13 months in a year before the church messed with it.
And it's interesting. There's some shows in the 13th character is that one. When you I think Doctor Who has a 13th Doctor now, or when they're time traveling. I haven't watched the series, but I think that 13th person represents the 13th, like the new one. There's a lot of females come into those roles, the 13 roles.
Yeah.
And that's not just that TV show. It's anytime you got a group of 12 or 13 now. Because in the past it was probably 12, and now there's one's adding to it.
I'm going to try some this year. I'm going to have a reading done with the revised zodiac.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to use the new system instead of the tropical. I'm going to see. I'm going to compare them both. I've done the tropical chart, but I'm going to have someone that knows about revised do one for me on the revised.
That'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah, I'd like to see how that turns out.
From what I've noticed, my lines, my Venus and Sun lines on Earth are different.
Oh.
Christopher, how do you see your future? Or how do you see the future?
Me, I dream of climbing. I was speaking this to Kelly just like half an hour ago.
Yeah.
It was a rather long post.
Yeah, but it was a good one.
Oh, she told you about the show, huh? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's. I see a future of climbing mountains, not in a physical sense, but figuratively. I see the horizon coming in.
Wow.
I was able to see all the way to the top of a mountain range.
Oh, wow.
And I'm leaving negativity, a group of negativity behind, and returning home, so to speak.
I've had these experiences with the alchemy when I was learning this, and this is, like I said, I was learning just by getting information in my head all of a sudden. You used to hear the black.
Yeah, alchemy is a high magic system.
And with white, like if it was something white, yeah, you go with it. You just kind of keep going. You're fine. But if something crosses something crosses your path, then you turn with it. Like if it crosses to your left, then you'd make a left turn where that cat is, or where whatever, a black bird or a black car, whatever. So you can. It's a way of I call it quantum communication, but I learned a lot of it with alchemy communication. Or it's also how the Masons communicate. And the white was fine. White was just you go in that path of the white. But if something black crosses, you move with it. Yeah. So I often find a lot of white cars surrounding me.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
If you see silver cars, those are like cowboys, kind of like security. They're there to protect you. They're angels.
Oh, nice.
They're everywhere. Yeah. And they could talk to you through the universe, through license plates and everything. And when you try to explain it, it sounds insane. That's why I'm trying to take it and bring it down some notches so it makes more sense.
Wow. You explained it in English pretty well and summed up in simple terms. I'm not really a metaphysicist or an alchemist at all. I just read it. But I'm
not really any of it either.
I had dreams where I've seen all the 7 colors and I had to navigate them.
Really?
Yes.
Sounds like your chakras.
Oh.
Sounds like you maybe had to navigate through your chakra system.
My strongest one is the purple one, the crown.
Oh, wow.
Whoa. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, just ask Kelly how strong it is. We tried something and we about blew each other away.
Yeah. It was funny. Yeah. It was like, wow, you're like a human antenna. Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Both sending and receiving. It was like super strong.
I have so many notes from all those times I was like manic and getting information, and I'm just kind of flipping through them here, not really reading them, but I have some highlighted areas.
You're an antenna too, and you could dream the abstract.
It's about Kelly.
Oh.
And it through some different avenues, and this may or may not make sense to you. And I've seen some of the pictures you've posted, like selfies.
Yeah.
And I can correspond them to, and I'm going to put this in the pictures and show you, because I know I've mentioned it to you, but I don't think it made sense at the time. How I can connect you, and through the pictures, how I do it. So Kelly, whenever I think, because people embody angels about it, we're all one person, so everybody around us is somebody we know, which is ultimately us, because we're all just one big God. or part, body of God. So the people around you, they're around you in many different ways. Like your sister could be, some random person that you meet through Facebook. My sister passed away, so I think she's in a lot of things. But Kelly, I had got that you were a servant. You were an archangel. You were a servant on earth right now, but you were an archangel. And there's some connection to Ross, maybe Betsy Ross, because she's a seamstress and she puts dots together. She puts things together. She was so say Betsy Ross, she's a seamstress and she put the flag together. It's not because she was a physical seamstress, but the fact that she put these things together and brought them together with, needle and thread, So there's more to it than just meets the eye. I think there was some connection to that, some Betsy Ross type. We bring things together, though. I don't know if I told you that before, though. Maybe I did.
Oh, that's cool. I know you said a little bit, but it's making more sense to me right now. And there was a lot of it you just said that I didn't know. So, wow. So, was I like an angel that was kicked out of heaven, or am I on a mission?
No. Just a mission.
Oh.
Yeah, no,
okay.
You're here on a mission. You're a servant. You're a servant. Which is like you're a servant on earth. And so whatever you've done throughout your life and whatever you're doing now has all served a purpose.
Oh, okay.
And I think it has to do with, maybe it could have something to do with bringing things together. I'm not sure exactly what the things are, but something, and that could be wrong.
I totally believe that for Kelly.
And I said, she puts dots together, and here I have it, shows with her talents, shows through her talents. So through your talents, you something with, but it's so vague, but this was specifically you. So.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Hopefully that means I'm bringing people together on the show, along with Jonathan and everybody who comes on here, and then we can have everybody getting.
Yeah, Jonathan is actually the way. He's the fuel, the ether, that ignites it.
Oh. Yeah.
The
we
way.
can do that.
The way.
Yeah.
Through you, I think it happens through Jonathan. But whatever I say, I'm just saying it because it's what I wrote down in a notebook, or I'm thinking it at the time.
Well, by the way,
but the
I
thoughts
got
just come to my
for
head.
a minute there. Did everything here? Did you hear anything about me? Now we just got disconnected for like a moment. But you didn't say anything when I got disconnected, did they? Or?
No. What I got about you that you were the ether in this paradigm with Kelly and
the ether.
You're the spark. You bring the ether. You can't really see it, but there's a moment whenever, think of a lighter, okay.
Right.
So you've got the plastic, which is oil from the earth, the heart, and you got metal, and then you got the little flint inside. So all you need is something to flick it for that to ignite, because you have the inside you have the fluid. So with the water, earth, air. So ether happens in the air, and if you know and go.
You there?
Hello?
Yeah, every space he permeates. Every space between our molecules, even he is our molecules, but and whenever we think of something, it comes to fruition, and it all happens. There's a process, but that's ultimately how it works.
Wow.
And so Jonathan is like Kelly is like the lighter fluid, and then whenever Jonathan is the one who flicks it. And I call that like through the ether. He's the one putting those connections. Like your car cannot work unless all of the components are connected and you turn the key. Same thing. You know, somebody has to turn that key. And so Jonathan is the one flicking the lighter. He's the one turning the key. He's the driver.
Oh, that makes
Kelly,
sense.
Kelly is like the fuel. Kelly's like the fuel. And it'll come through your talents, you know, the oil. I don't know, but that's as far as I had got. I don't know about the oil and everything. That's the oil, the lighter itself. That's just the world around you. I was.
Wow.
Well, what do you think of that, Kelly?
I think that's rather profound. I think we're going in the right direction, and that makes me very happy and excited.
Good.
I think. Yeah, thank you.
But you see, like, whenever you put the lighter fluid together and then the flick happens, and then after that becomes the fire. And that's the fire, that's the light you need to walk into. And you do. Y'all are both amazing putting shows together, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It's hard to have a partnership with that because you got to be committed, you know.
Yeah,
and I found that's not
Well,
that
she
easy.
certainly, not only is she committed, she enjoys it. I mean, you know, I told you about the
I know
church.
you're. And she was sick, and then she has these animals that she has to pull things out of their butts. And
No, but I mean,
she has
like,
this work.
I mean, I buy her a T-shirt to promote the show. She wears it for 3 days. Yeah.
I'm wearing it right now.
Oh, that's cool. I saw the shirt. It's a black shirt, right, with the white lettering.
Yeah. I love it. I wear it all the time. Yeah, when I run errands, people probably wonder if I have any other shirts now.
You know, people
you know what I
say
noticed,
that
though?
about me.
Nobody even notices. Really, you really probably could wear the same thing for several days, and nobody would even notice.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope they notice it because it is the show shirt, but...
No, I don't mean
know,
your show shirt. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that, but I mean people don't even pay attention to people's clothing as far as anymore, you know? With especially with our phones. It's really, everybody's paying attention to just themselves.
Yeah, they get their phone in their face, and that's what they're concentrating on, and I'm surprised more people don't walk into things.
I have a habit of changing subjects or steering a car in the wrong direction, a different direction without telling anybody. I'm sorry about that.
Well, it just makes the road trip more interesting.
That's what I really like about the time travel is the time, because I know it does happen in your mind. And because if I did time travel, I would be gone just a millisecond. But on wherever I was, I would be there much longer. So it's very similar to a dream. But I want to get to where I can go where I want when I want. And I've noticed when I'm on this, like, I believe that whenever I was in the mental hospitals and in jail, and I've been in jail many times, so looking back, and a lot of different situations, that it was almost like a dream, and I was there, and all these weird synchronicities would happen all the time. And I would...
I've been in hospitals and nursing homes.
Have you been as a patient?
Yes. I was the patient.
Have you ever felt that you died?
Oh, when I was a baby. I
You
have
died
a lot
when you were a baby?
Yes. I have a lot to share on that, but we only have a few minutes left, which I can talk to you after that.
Yeah.
We could have a longer show. What do you think? Is everybody up with that?
Yeah, we can stay on. I mean, we should.
Okay.
It should be fine unless the show doesn't end. I mean, you know, Lisa has a lot to say. So I mean,
right.
we can stay on
I
longer
talk
if
too
you
much too. I need to be quiet for a minute.
No, it's fine. Let it out, Lisa. Let it out.
I'm good with
really,
it too.
You want to stay on? Discuss the end?
That would be great. I didn't know you could do that on Blog Talk.
You can. It's just I was told that. I last time we did that, nobody ended it, so you will just stay on. But
cool.
I guess the whole thing, though, about the fifth dimension. What happens when you get to the sixth dimension, the seventh dimension, or the eighth?
Okay, so I went through this experience of the fifth dimension, and when I was seeing everything. You just kind of see it from everything from a higher level, and it's hard to put it in words, really. But you see each individual experience expanded. It's opened up, so you get the full picture. It's basically like a detective has all these little points, and each point he knows information about it, so he can figure out what's going on. And that's what it's like in the fifth dimension. And you see it in people. You can really understand. You really have compassion because you can understand where they're coming from, even if you totally disagree with them. And when you're there, you never disagree with anybody in the fifth dimension. Nobody argues. It's like, they just listen to each other and love each other still. It's you're not going to make it to you can't make it to your mind if you can't be holy, if you don't have the Holy Spirit, which I say Holy Spirit is like be a sponge. If you can't be open-minded and listen to other point of views, because when you do, you learn a lot more. You have more dots to put together. It's not like, you're wrong. You can't be like that and be in your mind. You're more involved with the world and with your anger and with your ego than you are with actually, because you can't go to the fifth dimension with your ego.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Ego is like, I call it, like in the Bible, I call it Egypt, E-G, or I call it the Satan of the world, just all the lies, and this is inside of ourselves and outside of ourselves. We battle with stuff inside of ourselves, and those battles have to stop. And then you got to battle stuff on the outside, and those battles got to stop. And you can stop it all by changing yourself and realizing that you can't change the world. And I get this a lot, and I'm guilty of it as well. Not so much anymore because I've trained my mind to think a certain way. Because all that stuff and whatever you think, you're going to go in that direction, period. So you might as well train your brain to think a positive way, even when bad things are happening. It's not, I guess it's not that easy, but it's really not that hard in the long run.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
and
I'm still working on that, but just, accepting things and, there's a lesson here, and, but I'm going to do the best I can. Yeah, it does.
And I'm thankful and grateful that I've had the time, because whenever you're tied up with family and life and work and all that stuff, that you get pulled back down to a third dimension of fear and not with being scared of something, but worried, concerned about money and kids and your spouse. And, I don't have all those attachments. I don't have any attachments. So it's a lot. I'm very blessed.
Yeah.
I've had to fight attachments, and I'm now getting ready for a big fight. But
what kind of fight there?
Spiritual.
Oh, yeah. I'm enamored by this war that's going on, this spiritual war that's going on right now. I'm enamored by it.
Me too.
And I have some desires that I really want, but I want to, I could say them and it doesn't happen, and it's like, that's just crazy talk. But fifth dimensionally, I'm thinking about what I want. And I asked for this in 2009 during a road trip. I do a lot of road trips. I felt something was coming. Something strange was coming, and I asked to be a part of it. And I feel like, with all this has to be with being a part of it. And I do believe that there's going to be a space force with a time travel division, and I'm going to be involved in that, probably teaching it.
Wow, that's
but
cool.
It's all for good. It's all for positive. It's all for good, because I wouldn't do anything that was not, or be fooled into doing something that's not. Because when I was in the military, when I was in the military, I became a warrant officer after 10 years, and then I went and I was deployed. And when you're deployed, you're busy as shit, but then you've got some free time on your hands after the first few months. So during that time, I was researching a lot and found out a lot about our government, and I found out about that a lot more about the government, but it was easy to put those dots together, and as evil, so much evil in the government.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I bet there's
a lot of
Jonathan
talking?
What?
Is that Jonathan?
Yeah, I hear Jonathan.
So with this evil that was going on, it broke my heart knowing, oh my gosh, I'm just a dumbass in the military, deployed down here for this scam-ass war, amongst all sorts of other terrible things that they've done. And then I know, like with SEAL Team 6, that I know they were murdered after they falsely took Osama bin Laden and dumped his body in the river. That was all bullshit. And then they were all murdered because they had helicopter accidents. Like not too far after that happened. It was unfortunate and it kills me. And I hope I have something to do with that trial. A military tribunal. I hope I haven't said too much, but maybe I have and I don't care. Because really, I think life's about adventure,
Yeah.
Life's totally about adventure, so I really don't care. I know that I cannot be harmed because it can't happen. When you're one of God's children, you can't be harmed. And so if something were to happen, if I got scooped up, by the FBI or CIA for talking or whatever over the phone or about this kind of stuff or whatever, talking about, then that stuff is just a mission. It's just a mission. An intelligence gathering mission.
Yeah.
Wow.
We have so much fun. And the best part of it is it's very authentic because you're not going in there as a spy, you're just going in there as a person with real authentic feelings and thoughts, So you can gather other people's thoughts and feelings. It's for a higher intelligence. It's for the war.
Nowadays, this war, you have to be really careful of information you get, because since the past couple years, you have to really dig deep and get involved to know what's misleading and what's not.
It's pretty bad stuff. It's really bad stuff. Stuff you can't even imagine.
I'm pretty deep in the rabbit hole. I know a lot of people
that
are close to it. So I just watch.
So you're
the news.
excited about the 19th? You think the shutdown has something to do with it?
Yes. And I suspect that there'll be a huge power shift coming up, change in leadership.
Well, I had a premonition that Trump would be, and I am a Trump supporter, so I'm just putting that out there. But he should be gone February.
That matches what I see.
Really? Something
and I'm a Democrat.
It could be an assassination. Or it could be just he doesn't win the election. Or it could be a health issue.
I see a health issue. I see a health issue or impeachment.
And I believe he was. I believe he was a head wound in the Revelation with the first beast. I think he was a head wound. They just slowed it down because they're going to come back to power. Absolutely, Democrats will come back to power.
That's what matches what I a few psychiatrists that are well known nationally told me he has signs of dementia and stuff like that.
Okay.
So it'd be health issue more or Article 25 or impeachment due to his mental stability.
We'll see. And see, nobody knows, so we'll just have to wait, and it's like a movie.
Yeah, I'm aware of a lot of stuff that people don't know of him either. That's why I keep quiet.
Mm-hmm. That would be an interesting show. That would be to hear you talk about that. Cause I like
he has frontal
temporal
temporal dementia.
Okay.
It's a form of dementia. It's similar to Alzheimer's.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I know.
I'm well aware of this because I have CP and a little bit of spectrum disorder. So I have to study
we'll
neurology.
have to pray for him. I guess because that we all just have to pray for him.
What's that background interference?
I don't know. It sounds like
I don't know.
Kind of weird.
I hear it. It's cyclical.
Do you hear somebody talking, or do you hear background sound?
Like
sound.
Like that.
Could
That's
be
probably
another
me.
entity. No.
Yeah, like a cycle, like once every 45 seconds.
Oh,
Yeah,
is somebody breathing into the phone?
That might be me. That might be me.
Okay.
That's me.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think originally I was gonna talk about time travel, but I never I would like to maybe call in again sometime and talk about time travel, but I could have more of a more information put together about it.
I would love to hear from you.
That would be fun.
Okay.
But I've been listening to your shows. I just heard Geraldine's, and then the other one I heard, I can't remember her name, but from the other day. But yeah, those are pretty cool. I've been enjoying that.
Yeah.
Thank
You're
you.
gonna be Geraldine. You're gonna be able to call in with Geraldine, and I told you about that because you said you wanted to talk to her. So, all right.
Yeah, I'll give a call in. All right, and that's on the 23rd, right?
Yeah.
On the 23rd. What day is that? I'll look on your website.
I think. Let's see. That is. Okay.
I'm going to look too.
The 23rd. The 23rd.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be Wednesday,
That's
right?
an interesting number.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Did you? Okay. Do you want me to go ahead and end the episode, or?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for coming
Thanks,
on.
everybody, for coming on.
Thanks, y'all.
Yeah,
Talk to you soon.
Thank
All
you
right.
for letting me be on here.
Thanks for calling,
thanks for
Christopher.
coming.
Good
Thank you
talking
for coming
to
on.
you.
Thanks. I'll talk to you guys later.